In this video, we're going to look at the reaction mechanism for the reaction rate lab. And this actually corresponds to number 11 in your homework packet, which is, I think, on the second to last page of your homework packet that we have. Okay, I got this dark solution. You might have saw this when I was taking your waste from the thing, and then I added the magic crystals right here. I'm going to put that in. We'll try a couple and see if this works. And let's see, you want a pretty small amount. Go one, maybe two. Oh, looks like 3 crystals. I'm going to stir that around a little bit. I don't know if that's going to be enough. It doesn't look like it is. I have to put, oh, I do see it clearing up right there. So we had a really dark solution and it cleared up. And why is that happening? So I'm going to look at some of the different combinations of things we have in some different beakers. And you can see if I take A that I have here, I think in our lab we put B in first and then added A and C, and it stayed clear until at some point it turned colors. What if I added A first and then added C? So I'm not really seeing anything. Then add C. And reasonably quickly it turns to a color. Now what happens if I add B to it? Do I have any B? It looks like I got some right here. It's going to actually turn clear. Okay. Now I can let that sit there a little bit because it might turn clear temporarily, but it might end up going back. So the magic crystals that I was using here is actually just solution B. And B is the one that turns it clear, whereas A and C, when they react by themselves, they get cloudy. So I'm just going to go back and show that again. I'm going to take some A right here, and I'll put some C in first. I'm going to add some A here, and it gets cloudy, and then it goes, and then if I add B, it breaks it up. Now notice the other one that was clear did turn cloudy. So there's a little bit with not only what I add, but how much and how in the time period involved too. So there's quite a few things going on. Notice I'm adding B. I'm trying to get that just enough to clear it up. If I get it just enough to clear it up, I'm guessing in a little bit more time, it might get dark again. So I'm going to put a little bit more, trying to clear it up temporarily, but we can kind of see it forming and it's ready to go back. And then this one turns back. So we got something with B as the thing that clears it up, but there's a time sensitive component to that too. So I'm going to just clear that up because I don't like that mess. And then we're going to talk about that a little bit right here. So I'm going to go to a screen share, go to the homework packet, and one of the last pages is number 11. Let's try to figure this thing out right here. And we'll kind of keep these solutions. I'm guessing they're probably going to change at some point. We'll take a look at those too. If I can show that in this at the same time. Kind of fun to see that. Okay, let's see. So solution A is, let me grab a little marker here, is potassium iodide. And solution B is sodium thiosulfate. Solution C is ammonium peroxide disulfate. So if I look at this, the positive ion things is really aren't involved in the reaction mechanisms or the steps at all. Okay, so they're not really involved. It's all these negative ions. So it's not really forming an ionic compound or a solid or anything like that. It's a more complex reaction than we have. We actually have 2 things going on. We have a slower reaction where I minus, which comes from A, and S2O8, which comes from C, forms I2. Now, I2 in the presence of starch turns blue. And when I add A to C right away, it turns blue. And it may take a second for it to form. Okay, we say it's a slow reaction, but it's pretty quick. It takes about a second for it to occur. All right. Now, if there were no B present, what's going to happen is I could combine A and C, and we'll just do another example of that. I take A and I take C, which is also clear. And what it does, it turns, in a second or two, it turns blue because that I minus gets turned into the I2 form. So the I minus form is clear, but the I2 form in the presence of starch, which I added to A, turns it blue. Now, if there's no B present, it's going to stay. But if I have B present, which is this one right here, it's going to undo the I2 and make it turn back to clear. Okay, so if I add some B, it's going to undo it and turn it back to clear. Now, so notice how that will turn it back to clear. Okay. Now, what happened in your lab is you had some B in there originally. So when you combine that, I might just write these things down here so we can see this. And let's draw it in. This is A. This is C. This is what? This is blue. Painfully slow. I should do a little text, right? Which means this is blue. Almost. And what is this? This is, everything else will be clear. And then this is B right here. Okay, so if A and C combine, all right, what's going to happen is if there is some B present, as soon as this is formed, even though it's a pretty fast reaction, it takes a second or two, this second reaction might take microseconds. It could be way faster than that. So as long as there is some B present, as soon as that I2 is formed, it's going to turn to I minus and you won't see it. Okay, so that's what's happening right there. Now, why ultimately do you see a color change at some point? Look at the concentration of B compared to A and C. It's much less. Notice the 2-to-1 ratio of A to C, but B is much, much less. So I'm counting on B running out, and when B runs out, then this second reaction stops, and that's the blue color you see. Now, let's say I lower the concentration of A, okay? What's going to or raise the concentration of A, it's going to form this, and we're going to run out of B more quickly, so it'll take less time. If I lower the concentration of A, we're going to form this, and we're going to run out of B in less time, so it's going to take longer. Okay, so that's really what we're trying to do with this reaction. It's actually two reactions, where one is, okay, it seems fast because it only takes a second or two, but it's a lot slower than the one that takes like microseconds in order to occur. And if I add A and C, it gets dark right away. But if I have B present, what happens is, like even these solutions right now, if I have B present and if I add B to it, it's going to catch up. And if I add enough of it, it's going to catch up and it's going to turn all of the leftover blue stuff to clear, assuming that I add enough of it to make that go. Okay. Okay, so one final summary. If you have B present, A and C turns blue, but not enough particles are blue so you can see it. And as soon as the blue is formed, then it combines with B to make it clear. Okay, why do you ultimately see a color change at some point? Because the B reaction stops. When the B reaction stops, the second reaction stops, then all you have is A to C forming the blue, and that's when you recorded your time. Okay, hope that helps in understanding this reaction mechanism for this particular experiment. Thank you for watching.